So, topic of conversation right now is Will Butcher. And part of the reason I delayed on doing this video is I wanted to wait and see where things were going to shake out by middle of August. Well, here we are. So where does Will Butcher go? He's been attached to these 7 teams in black, and the blue teams there are ones I say, they got cap space, they could use another defenseman, why not give it a shot? I would have put the Canucks up here too, but something tells me the Canucks wouldn't have been able to give him a pitch. So, the interesting names on the list to me are Toronto and Chicago. Toronto and Chicago are not in a position to be signing a free agent, especially one that's going to command a multi-million-dollar contract. I think Butcher, with the numbers he's put up and with the amount of interest that apparently is out there, if it's 7 teams bidding for his services, I'll say $2.5 to $3 million per. I'll just quote on a limb. It could be a lot less than that. But the way they're hyping it up, because he's a Hobey Baker award, he's the first defenseman to win it since 2009. Interestingly enough, the defenseman that won it in 2009 was Matt Gilroy. I remember Gilroy coming into the NHL with a lot of hoopla and a lot of, hey, this kid's going to be great. He didn't last. I've got his height here because apparently Will Butcher last year was approached by Colorado after his junior year and told the Avalanche were not interested in signing him. Apparently that was a message from Patrick Roy, who felt he was too small. It's a tricky thing being a small defenseman in the NHL. There are some who thrive and there are some who don't. I learned as a Canuck fan never disqualify a guy with the last name Butcher just based on his size. But pretty sure there's no relation between the two. So let's look at it. So Toronto's the most obvious, the glamorous one, right? Toronto definitely could use another defenseman. Marchenko's waived. Marchenko's on his way to the KHL. It's not a huge loss for Toronto. There are a few guys who signed with the KHL today. I thought about doing a video and I went, because none of them were basically planned on being in the everyday roster anyways. That's why some guys end up in the KHL. This is the thing. You're too good for the American League. You're not quite on NHL level. Go to the KHL. So Toronto has room. But the cap is their issue. Chicago. The cap is Chicago's issue too. Until Hossa goes on that LTIR at the start of the year, they're over the cap. And this kid's going to want some money. For those reasons, I would probably disqualify Toronto and Chicago unless they have a move coming up where they can free up cap space. Maybe Arizona or Montreal scoops in and grabs whatever from Chicago, or Arizona grabs something from Toronto to make it work. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got $3.2 million in cap space. They've definitely got room on the blue line. I think if you add this kid, and if he is a worthy NHL defenseman, I think it increases the chances of Pittsburgh being able to repeat. It's a nominal difference. I mean, you got Pittsburgh with the Crosby, the Malkin, the Murray, the Letang if he's healthy. You got a lot of pieces there that say Pittsburgh's going to be on the verge of 3 in a row anyways. But you add Butcher on the blue line, it might be that little bit extra. In 43 games, he had 30 points, 7 goals, and he was a plus 27. I know people don't like the plus-minus stat. I know it's a team stat as much as anything else, but it's there, and he had a good number. Minnesota's on the board as being interested in this kid. $3.1 million in cap space. That could be interesting. I could see him going to Minnesota, and I could see that working because Minnesota has a reputation for being as close to hockey mad as Canada. And in terms of developing young players, Minnesota does well with defensemen. Whether it's Brodin, Scandella, Dumba, and the list goes on. The recent track record of Minnesota with defensemen has been pretty good. So Butcher might be smart to sign in Minnesota. Buffalo's interesting. Buffalo desperately needs defensemen. Buffalo absolutely desperately needs defensemen. If he just wants money, if this kid says, I just want money and a shot at playing top 4, he goes to Buffalo. No doubt in my mind he goes to Buffalo. Jersey is tempting too. Jersey has defense issues. I think Buffalo's got more of the offensive side of things in terms of their blue line. I think New Jersey is starved for that. So Butcher might help them. I have a feeling that Jersey might offer a little less money, but I think they'll also offer him that top 4 role. Because I think Jersey has an internal cap for now. I think they realize that they're not a Stanley Cup contender, and they're not going to throw big money at a kid to bring him in right away. Vegas is the other name that crops up, as apparently he's been linked to Vegas. Obviously, with, I think they still have 10 NHL-ready defensemen. Why not bring in another kid? It's so baffling, the idea that George McPhee would add a defenseman while he's trying to trade away defensemen that he has no room for. It could happen. The thing is this. If Butcher wants ice time, and if he wants a chance to play right away, his best opportunities are Buffalo and New Jersey. And if he's looking at money, his best opportunities are Buffalo and New Jersey. If he wants to win, he goes to Pittsburgh, Chicago, I'll make those pluses, Minnesota, or Toronto. Vegas can't really offer him either right now. Vegas has a lot of defensemen, and they need to make room for him. Minnesota is right on the verge of being contender. They're just on that tier below. Chicago, I think, just because they've got so many future Hall of Famers in their lineup, I think Chicago gets into that conversation. Toronto, up and coming team, a lot of good young players, perception that they could win a Stanley Cup at some point in the next 5 years. That's tempting for a young kid. And Pittsburgh, they've won back-to-back Stanley Cups. If Pittsburgh makes him a decent offer, to me, they're probably the front runner. If I had to handicap it right now, I would say Buffalo. I would give them the inside track just based on what they can offer him. I would make Pittsburgh a secondary favorite, followed by Jersey and Minnie. And that's just my uneducated opinion. I would say Buffalo is the best shot. Pittsburgh, because it's Pittsburgh. New Jersey, because they can offer him the money, they can offer him a spot, and he can play power play time, no problem there. And Minnesota, because of their penchant for being able to develop young stars into being really, really, really solid all-around hockey players. So, there we go. And Arizona, I've got it here because Arizona's got a boatload of cap space, and Arizona's looking to improve quickly. They've added Chalmerson to the blue line. If you add this kid to the blue line, you might have something. You add in Chychrun's developing. Maybe Chychrun's going to be a top 4 defenseman as soon as this year. You've still got Ekman-Larsson. You might have the building of a really good young defense there. And Montreal, because they need defensemen. I've said before, they need defensemen. I think they need a puck mover. If his numbers aren't just blown up because he's been playing a college game and he's a senior, if he genuinely is a puck-moving defenseman, Montreal would be crazy not to at least be in the conversation. At least give him a call and say, hey, what are you looking for? Here's what we're offering. Something. So for me, they're outsiders. Nobody's associated him with those teams, I don't believe. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And it'll be interesting to see where he signs. I don't expect Jimmy Vesey type excitement about this kid. But I do think that when he signs, he'll make whatever NHL team signs him. I think he makes them out of training camp. And then from there, we find out whether he's a Justin Schultz or a Matt Gilroy. And sometimes that takes a little while, because Gilroy looked pretty good in his first year. And then the wheels started to fall off. And there's no way of knowing exactly what it was. I liked Gilroy. I was surprised when the wheels fell off. He got traded. I thought, oh good, this will get him going. Got him going right out of the league. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.